Welcome back to Unveiling Buddhism, episode 38. In our previous episode, we explored how the four heavenly kings protect Buddhists from evil spirits. Today, we'll delve deeper into the world of harmful spirits, dispelling common misconceptions and uncovering the truth.
Are all Naga, Gandhabba, Kumbhanda, and Yaksha evil?
Well, contrary to popular belief, not all of them are malevolent. If they observe the 5 precepts, refraining from killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, and intoxicants, they reside in the heaven of the 4 heavenly kings, living in fun and merriment. However, if they fail to follow these precepts, they are banished from heaven and forced to occupy remote areas in the human realm. After being banished, they often become angry and may harm Buddhists who unknowingly enter their territory to meditate. Without observing the precepts, such beings may engage in harmful actions such as killing, stealing, lying, sexual misconduct, and intoxication. Unfortunately, some people don't see the harm in these actions. Some people even venture to these remote areas to pray to these fallen devas or terrestrial deities, mistakenly believing they are worshipping mountain or river gods or some deities. Worse, some of these fallen devas deceive or lie to their human devotees by pretending to be some holy spirits, celestial beings, or even Buddha. In some cases, they even become local spirit kings through subjugating other lower types of spiritual entities and exerting their power.
What is wrong with praying to these fallen devas or terrestrial deities?
It is not advisable to pray to fallen devas or terrestrial deities. But some people, including Buddhists, pray to them either knowingly or unknowingly. These terrestrial deities are consumed by greed, hatred, and ignorance. They seek to establish their own paradise on earth by recruiting and subjugating other spirits to serve them, creating their own villages and spirit kingdoms. By praying to them, people may unwittingly become part of their retinue after passing away, trapped in their realm. It's common sense to avoid associating with bad people. Similarly, it doesn't make sense to pray to such terrestrial deities, as they could mislead us into a rebirth in a lower realm, such as that of hell or hungry ghosts, or into a future of suffering. Unfortunately, such terrestrial deities usually disguise themselves as celestial deities, or gods, or even Buddhas, misleading ignorant people. Some religious organizations, including those presenting themselves as Buddhist on the surface, might practice good deeds on one hand, but also adopt harmful doctrines, such as promoting violence or justifying harmful behavior as serving a religious cause. All these are telltale signs that one is praying to or being influenced by a fallen deva or terrestrial deity. Such associations establish wrong views and lead us further away from enlightenment. While material success may be granted by the deities, the cost is high, losing the free will and becoming a slave to these powerful spiritual beings in the afterlife. Moreover, these fallen devas or terrestrial deities have no qualms about harming their followers out of anger, making prayer to them a risky endeavor. Remember, real celestial beings do not harm because they observe the precepts. Unfortunately, most people do not have detailed knowledge about spiritual beings and simply classify praying to any supernatural beings as deities or gods.
Are terrestrial deities limited to these 4 classes of spirits?
Terrestrial deities refers to earthbound supernatural beings that humans pray to. They are not limited to the 4 classes of the fallen devas we discussed earlier. There are other types of supernatural beings with spiritual power. Another type of fallen deva is known as asura. They were formerly a large group of devas who were banished from Trayatrimsa heaven due to their drunkenness. In addition to fallen devas, people may also intentionally pray to or be misled into worshipping other earthly supernatural entities. For example, the Rakshasas are cannibalistic beings. Pishachas enjoy feasting on flesh, and Bhutas refer to vengeful spirits of victims of violent deaths, just to name a few. They may possess spiritual power due to meritorious karma, but are held back from a heavenly existence due to strong mental afflictions like greed, hatred, and ignorance. Another type of supernatural being is the hungry ghosts, or pretas. Some of them may also possess spiritual power due to contaminated merits caused by a greedy mind. For example, the Sutra of the Foundations of Mindfulness of the True Law mentions the vomit-eating pretas named Vantashins, who enjoy eating vomit due to their past actions of offering inferior food to charity while keeping good food for themselves. If we encounter religious rituals that involve vomiting or spirit mediums vomiting violently before a trance, it's possible that a Vantashin is haunting them instead. Alternatively, these pretas may latch onto weak-minded individuals, causing hallucinations so that they indulge in self-induced vomiting, thus providing a source of food for the preta. Although the sutra mentions 36 types of pretas, it isn't meant to scare us. Rather, it teaches us the right views and actions so that we can avoid being reborn in such a miserable state. For example, we learn to avoid offering inferior food to others while keeping good food for ourselves, cultivating generosity and mindfulness.
Do these spirits only roam in the 7th month or on Halloween?
In Southeast Asia, the mention of preta or hungry ghost often brings to mind the Hungry Ghost Festival. During the 7th lunar month, it's believed that these spirits are freed from their realm and enter the human world. To appease them, people burn joss papers and offer food, seeking protection, good fortune, and hoping to ward off any harm from the hungry ghosts. But do you know that this is a misinformation? Instead, it's human activities that attract certain pretas to congregate. Burning religious offerings or making food offerings attracts a type of preta known as Gandhara. They feed on odors. Therefore, it is fear, greed, and misinformation that drive people to engage in activities that attract these pretas or hungry ghosts. However, Buddhists take a different approach. To truly benefit the pretas, Buddhists engage in meritorious deeds and dedicate the merits to them. A great example is the story found in the Sariputta Tarasa Matu Sutta. Sariputta, a Buddhist monk, built 4 huts and offered them along with food and drink to the Sangha, dedicating the merit to his mother, who had been reborn as a preta. Consequently, his mother was freed from her suffering. This shows that dedicating merits from wholesome actions to unseen beings out of love and compassion can truly bring them benefit. Making offerings to hungry ghosts and praying to them, on the other hand, does not really benefit them. And by the way, this can be done at any time of the year and need not be restricted to the 7th month. Therefore, Buddhists engage in meritorious deeds and dedicate merits to the unseen beings, not out of fear or greed, but out of love and compassion.
Should we be afraid of all these supernatural beings? Do they randomly harm us or our pets? How do Buddhists react to ghosts?
The fallen devas or terrestrial deities usually dwell in remote places and won't harm us unless we trespass on their territory. Since we are unlikely to cross paths with them, there's nothing to worry about. However, some people may deliberately or mistakenly pray to fallen devas, inviting them into their homes or local temples. Buddhists may unwittingly cross paths with them, but need not be afraid because they are protected by the 4 heavenly kings and their retinue of good devas. Moreover, Buddhists don't pray to supernatural beings for wisdom. That minimizes the risk of being misled by them. Instead, we study the Buddhist scriptures and practice accordingly to gain insights. Furthermore, pretas only latch on to us if we become a source of food for them, such as the Purishahara, which feed on excreta. So unless we engage in unhygienic practices, we won't attract them. Remember, observing the 5 precepts protects us from harm, so there's really nothing to worry about.
So, how are this knowledge and information useful to us?
We can avoid praying to fallen gods or fake deities and taking refuge in them, thus preventing unwanted recruitment into their retinue after death. We can identify religious organizations that may seem wholesome but actually subvert the 5 Buddhist precepts and are influenced by fake deities. We understand how ignorance and misinformation can lead to practices that attract undesirable spiritual entities, and we take steps to avoid them. We learn about the miserable existence of pretas or hungry ghosts and how to avoid committing unwholesome actions that could lead to rebirth as one. And we discover how Buddhists can help pretas by engaging in wholesome deeds and dedicating merits to them. Therefore, instead of fear, we cultivate compassion and loving kindness toward them. By mastering this knowledge, we navigate the spiritual realm with wisdom, avoiding harm and cultivating compassion and wisdom. Thank you for joining us on Unveiling Buddhism series. May the insights of harmful spirits dispel misconceptions and inspire wholesome actions. Do remember to subscribe and tune in for our next exciting discussion.